Hey everybody, my name is Tom Tullis. This is the Tomb of 3D Printed Horrors, and today we're going to take a look at how to make LED torchlight walls for your Dragonlock dungeon. This is a new model from Fat Dragon Games in our Dragonlock line, and I'll have a link for this in the video description. In addition to the torch wall model, you're going to need some CR2032 3-volt batteries. You need one of these for each wall. I have a link in the video description where you can get these in bulk for about 18 cents each, so it's really cheap to build these. In addition to the battery, you're going to need some 3-volt LED lights. Now, the voltage of the LEDs depends on the color. In this case, we're using a yellow LED. The final voltage is about 2.2 volts, and that will work fine with a 3-volt 2032 battery, so don't worry about that. A link for these is also in the description. If you buy a 100-pack like this, it will run you about $6. So, you're only spending about 18 cents for a battery and about 6 cents for a light for each wall. So for 25 cents total, you've got a really cheap, economical way to make pre-lit torch walls for your dungeon. So, getting started. You're going to need to print the front face in a translucent orange or translucent yellow PLA. Make sure you do not paint that back hole or the front torch, obviously. What I've done on mine is use blue tack. I've masked off the torch and that back hole. And I won't cover painting here. I have a different dungeon video for that. But once you've painted the parts, this is your battery compartment. And what we're going to do is take the LED light, and on one side you have a longer lead than the other. That longer lead is your positive, and that needs to go to the back of the holder. So what you're going to do is take the shorter lead and bend it straight down where it meets the light. Now, on your longer positive lead, you're going to use something like needle nose pliers here. Put them right up against the back of the light and use it as a spacer to bend that rear lead down. And you're going to want to do that like this, but you really don't want that coming out of the back of the light at a perfect 90-degree angle. I'm just forcing that down a little bit here so it angles downwards and gives me a little bit longer length on that lead coming out the bottom of the battery compartment. So on the front of the compartment, you have the oval opening. That's where your light is going to go. And on the back, you have these two little guides, and that's going to be where your positive lead fits down between to keep this thing centered. So just slide this in, put the battery in. The battery has a little flare to it at the back, and that'll be on the inside of the compartment. Then each of these leads is just going to fold over the edge and fold upwards into that recessed slot. There's one on the front, one on the back. And that's going to hold this LED in place. So just force those up. And you really need these to fit flush into that slot. So you're going to use something like tweezers or your needle nose pliers and just force that wire down into that recess. So get it on the back. On the front, it may be a little too long for the recess. You cannot have that extending beyond it. So if yours is extending like mine is, you're going to need to cut a little bit of that off. So just take a millimeter or two off, just whatever it takes to get it to fit flush into that slot. So once that is finished, next up, we're going to test this thing out. The 2032 battery has a textured side. On one side, that's your negative. The positive side is marked as such, and that's going to go to the rear. You're just going to pressure fit that in. The 2-wire leads will keep that in place just through friction. So make sure before you glue this all together it's working okay. I'm going to set the battery aside. And next up, we're going to start gluing this together. So starting with your front face, put some super glue on the 2 alignment tabs, and we're going to glue the top to this. Put that together and hold it for a few seconds. Make sure it's got a good flush fit. Next up, once that's done, we're going to glue the battery compartment. As you can see here, once this was painted, the back face is still free of paint. There's no paint down in that rear hole that fits inside of the flame. But just test fit this, make sure everything's going to fit all right before you apply glue to it. When you glue this, put a generous amount on. This is going to get a lot of use. This is going to get a lot of pressure on it, pulling it in and out of the lower base section. So you want to have a good tight bond with it. So don't be shy with the glue. Once you've done that, Make sure that this fits flush with the front face. You don't want this angling back away from it and having a gap between them. You want to have a really nice tight fit. So hold this for a few seconds. You could even clamp it if you wanted. But make sure this glue's nice and tight before you try assembling it. You want to make sure it's dry. Once that's done, all you've got to do to put your torch wall on is insert the battery. Anytime you want to turn it off, just take the battery out, or you can invert the battery and put the assembly back together so you don't lose it. But just put the battery in, your light comes on, and then just insert that into the base and you have a lit torch wall. So thank you for watching. Please click that subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner. Thank you.